So the song "Don't Tell Me" comes out. That was in April 2019, and I noticed this because it was on Danny Trejo's Volume One. He did the Chicano Soul Shop. This thing was being pushed like major. It's the first time I heard Trish, yourself, Malik, all these artists that were on this. Baby Bash was on this. Coda was on this. So again, it was being pushed very hard. And that's the first time, again, that it was just like a compilation like that I've seen with the Modern Soul. Tell me about that experience there and working with Danny Trejo and friends.
It was cool. It was a great studio project. And most importantly, it was something that kind of got my teeth sink into producing different artists of different calibers, different type of voicings and singers. So I got to write music for Frankie J, for obviously for Trish and for Tara. And one of my songs got picked up on it, which is "Don't Tell Me," which is released on Mangley Hill as "The World I Know." And it was just kind of a cool experience to kind of just dabble in different styles with different people and just expand the brand and expand my name. At this time, I'm just trying to like work so much that my name's being said at some conversation at some point.
You got a chance to meet Danny Trejo. Any funny stories about Danny Trejo that you have?
Him and Bash have a funny one. Whenever they see me, they're like, "Joey Quiñones, all about your chones." They bust my balls every time with that, so that's a memorable one. But he's a big kid. Danny Trejo and Bash too, Baby Bash. They're big kids, and it's such a cool thing to hear them talking about. Because one of my favorite movies is Blood and Blood Out, and American Me. I love those movies, of course. And it's so cool to hear him talk about that and kind of what it was like doing that stuff. And because he was in prison during that, I believe, so he was talking about that. It's just so many stories, and he's just superhuman. I mean, he saved like a woman and a baby out of a car wreck like late last year or something like that. Cool dude, very very warm and very welcoming.
And he's just a person that's just been through a lot in life. And it's kind of cool to see him do his thing and help, others out. Because I know before, I've seen interviews with him, and he was just going down the wrong path. He's done a lot of bad things. He's in jail, almost died, almost got like the electric chair. They almost killed him in jail.
Yeah. And
to come out of that and now do something for the people, put this music out. I think it's really cool. He's got a taco shop. He's just doing everything right now. But it's really cool to see that, he's helping others. So that's really awesome.
He did. He gave me the most important thing in my name, which was the Y, the Joey. I got to give him 100% credit for calling me Joey.
Yeah, let's go into that, because you mentioned that you changed up the name, you added the Y. What were they trying to call you originally for that track?
Well, they didn't expect me to do anything. I mean, I was writing for their artists, and when they found out that I could actually sing, they were like, "Holy shit, what's going on here? Why don't we just do something with you?" And then it's like, "Oh, but what do we call you?" And I didn't really have anything going on. People called me JQ, but they had another rap artist on the same label from Detroit. His name was JQ. So they're like, "Well, we can't call you that. We just signed a guy named JQ. What if we call this record Joey?" He's like, "Yeah, Joey, I like that. Joey Quiñones. That's a good sound, And I just, like, whatever, just as long as my name is spelled right, on the paperwork, we're good. So
I want to go into the Bash Tones. Can you tell me about that project, how that project came about, and who's in that group?
That was pretty much just a spin-off of the trail stuff, and Bash kind of, capitalizing on that idea of, this collective of singers and the material that I was writing. So, I wrote music for Frankie and Coda and stuff, and we all just kind of at different times got into the studio and laid our parts, and it was just really fluid and really easy to do. And it was just a cool experience to kind of work with Bash and kind of get his, insight, because he's been in the business for many years. And, like, some people will think, like, what are you doing? Like, you don't listen to rap. Like, why are you hanging out with rappers for? Like, man, I'll learn from anybody I can. You know what I mean? Especially people that have been doing this longer than we've been alive, sometimes. Because they must be doing something right, So I try to take as much knowledge from everybody that I meet, especially, like, people that want to work with me and have interest in it, for sure.
Yeah, and that record is called Soldies Are Forever, right? And the collection of those tracks is very different. It's got the soul, it's got the hip hop, it's got the R&B, it's got a lot of different flavors. So you guys were all in the studio at different times? You guys weren't out there all together working on it?
For the most part, yeah. I was doing soul tracks in my studio, you know, and then he would come in and I would do my vocals. He would send it out and do his sessions in Houston or, you know, wherever he was. And then Frankie J, the same thing. Everybody had their own setups and their own preference in where they recorded. For the most part, I only produced and engineered and did the songs that I sang on.
Now, there's a lot of personalities in that group. I mean, it's a super group, right? It's an all-star cast for sure. When you're producing these tracks and presenting it to them, are you nervous? Like, man, like I hope they like it. Are they hard to work with? Is it easy to work with them? Or are they just like, yeah, whatever you want, let's do it? How is that all come together right there?
I think just from the stuff that we've been doing prior to that, I think they kind of gave me the okay to just kind of do, you know, they didn't really shadow over me or kind of give me any really guidelines or anything like that. Just do what you do because we want to do what you do, you know, kind of thing. And we'll fit in where we can. And they're so professional that when watching them do their stuff, you know, like people like Trish and Bash and Frankie J, like people like Dakota too, seeing them step in the booth for like 5 minutes and come out with just amazing stuff. It takes me days to record my vocals sometimes. So it's just like I appreciate and respect their professionalism and their skill and their, you know, the use of their instrument, you know, how well they know how to do it. So I don't think there was a lot of ego or anything like that. It was just kind of fluid. They trusted me, and I think that was the most important part.
So there's a major legend that you work with on this record, and that's Kid Frost, and he's on the Midnight Cruise song. What was it like working with that legend right there? Chicano like hero, right? What was it like working with him?
I mean, he loved everything that I was about and what that we were doing and what we represented, because, you know, he saw the videos of Sincere. He was a big fan already. You know, he had reached out after that to kind of work on some things that hopefully we'll get into the studio this year to do. But, you know, he was just kind of like straight up, you know, I had seen him perform a lot of times at car shows too, my dad. So I'd been aware of him for many years, but I never really considered that I would be crossing paths or doing anything with them. And for him to want to seek out and want to do the track was just a big, like, wow, you know, it's a cool thing because, you know, like I grew up listening to those tracks, you know, everywhere. You know, wherever I grew up, and whether it be San Bernardino or East LA, he was such a big part of that culture. So it was kind of like one of those things where it was like, yeah, of course, it kind of made sense of like, oh, why, what did this happen? But at the same time, it was still like, how is this happening? It's like, I got to stop and remember where I am sometimes, you know?
Yeah, and he's a true pioneer. He's been doing it for a long time. It was just awesome to see that. He has a killer verse on there. It's like so cool to just see that he's, you know, part of that with you guys. Now, is there going to be more music coming from the Bash Tones, or is this just kind of a one-time thing?
I think as far for me, I don't think I'm going to be, you know, like I got a lot of focus on stuff that I'm doing now, but I mean, if the opportunity came up to do something again, I would do something live or, you know, a video or some sort or some kind of collaboration or something. I would be more than interested in doing it. But I think as a recording project, I think I want to focus on getting some more Sincere's records out for sure.
Maybe it's time for the love life. Shut the party down, get the love right. Take a little cruise in the moonlight. Right before I give it to you all night. Already know you're so down for a cruise. Let the top drop, baby, vibe to the music. Give it to you any way you want, you can choose it. Celebrate the night, do it right, baby, do it. We can light up that green. Spark it up fresh, so clean. Rolling loud with the girl of my dreams. Can't wait to take you home, my queen.